Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a Travis Told You, the final Travis Told You of 2025. Officially, we are few hours away from New Year's. Is there no? Well, I guess there's probably some people already in 2026. If you are, congratulations. I hope you have a great year. Hope you had a good year last year, and if you didn't, whatever, you're gonna have a great year this year. Are we gonna have a great time talking about Stranger Things? Who knows? But we are here. So obviously the past few weeks, I have been reviewing Stranger Things. I caught up on it. You kind of know my thoughts. And as usual, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, I did get to see it in the theaters, which was, we'll get there, right? But if this is your first time, I'm going to give about 10 minutes non-spoilers. So if you're seeing the theaters later on, if you're seeing it later on this weekend waiting for people, I'll give out my overall thoughts on, likes, dislikes, where it ranks. Did they land the plane? Was it successful? We will see. We will talk about that and everything. But we will do all that. About 10-ish minutes, non-spoilers, and then I'll give you a break. I'll give you a warning so you get right into it, and then we'll go full into spoilers and talk about the ending of this, which has started 9 years ago, which is crazy. But let me just share this. I gotta let people know we're live. But yeah, I hope everyone's having a good New Year's Eve. If you're anyone in the live chat, you can let me know your thoughts. I don't know if I'll be able to get to them all. So if you want something really red, you can send a super chat, but I don't know. I'm kind of like on an hour time limit because then after this, I gotta go do some New Year's festivities and whatnot. So I hope again everyone's having a good time. But yeah, it is here after 9 years, which is crazy. I remember the first time seeing this preview and being like, oh, I can't wait to see that. And then here we are, almost a decade later, which a lot of people have been like, oh, the kids are sold now yet. But that's never really worried about for me. But so I got to see this in the theaters, luckily, because at first we weren't getting them. And then we did get that. And I got a complete full crowd. I don't think there was a single seat empty. I'd have to think about it. I don't think there was a single seat empty. I will say, before I get to my thoughts, it was the closest to, I'd say, because there was Endgame, there was No Way Home, but I think this was maybe the closest I felt to being back at Endgames. There was cheering, there's hooting and hollering, and other than at the beginning when the Stranger Thing logo popped up, there's a couple flashes. I went, uh-oh, is this going to be a bad crowd? Is there going to be lots of phones or chatter? No, it was, I'd say 95% good crowd, maybe someone talking a bit too loud, but it was fine. I get it. People were hyped. And that's what's great, because obviously sometimes movie theaters, people kind of disrespect the cinema nowadays. It was great that people were there, they were locked in, and it was a phenomenal fun time. There was laughing, there was cheering. When it ended, it cheered, or people were cheering, laughing. It was a great time for a theatrical experience. So if you're even thinking about this, because I know it's on New Year's Day, if you're even thinking about, oh, should I go? If it's near you and you're a big fan of this show, then I would recommend it. My overall thoughts of the show, I've loved the show. Every season's like at least a 9, maybe there might be an 8.5 of season 2, but multiple 10 out of 10 episodes. I've always said that those first 4 have been, if they were to stick the landing with this, be one of the greatest shows of all time. Do I feel that way? Can I say, did we get a Game of Thrones situation? Because as we talked about on Travis Told You, first batch episodes I thought were really great. Hard to judge because all the other seasons other than last season, we could judge them all together, right? As far as, okay, we watch it to from A to B, and we could right away know how we feel, right? But we got the 4, the 3, and then the 1. The 3, obviously, lots of memes going on, lots of pushback, lots of blowback. Some of it warranted, some of it not, some of it opinion-based. Hard to kind of seep through it all, right? Of like what's really there. But obviously, it comes down to opinion. But this was the main event. This was like, okay, you can have a rocky road, but if you can land the plane after some turbulence, it's okay. One of my favorite promos in wrestling history is The Rock, WrestleMania 19, when he says Act 1, Act 2, he's talking about his match with Stone Cold, because he lost the first match and second match to Stone Cold. And he says, if Hollywood taught me anything, Act 1, Act 2, they don't matter. It's all about Act 3, the climax, the finale, the ending. And obviously, they do it. You can't have a terrible Act 1 or Act 2, but I would never say even my issues with any of the seasons so far, it's never been terrible, right? So what did we do here? I can say that we had, I won't say a lot of turbulence, but a few turbulence where, okay, we could be in for a crash landing or a very damaged plane. But you know what? In my opinion, this was a fucking fantastic finale. Granted, I guarantee there's probably some things people would have issues with, but to me, it feels similar to Endgame or The Dark Knight Rises, where Dark Knight Rises, I love that movie, but I can see its faults. I don't think the season as a whole is perfect, obviously. I think there's some things in this episode that helped the last three. It's things that I went, oh, that could be an issue. They missed the mark on that. It happened here, right? So that's why you can only base it as it goes along. Now that we got the whole kit and caboodle, the whole show, the whole season, I can still finally easily say that Stranger Things, to me, it's just a personal thing, but I still think even the grand scope of TV is a top 10 TV, especially the scope of this. This finale is something that even if you end up hating it, I think you could admit that there's big action set pieces that you go, man, I'm very happy I'm seeing in the theaters. I think we have that all the time, right? With streaming shows or movies, we're sitting at our home, and unless you got a massive theater room, most of the time, like, oh, if you love theaters, I wish I could have saw this, right? So that's another recommendation. If you want that big scope and big scale, see it on the biggest screen you can, which is the theaters, obviously, right? So that delivered big set pieces, action pieces that delivered. It delivered a lot on, I feel like this is kind of like what we speculated. It's 2 hours, and I don't know the exact math, but I'll kind of say hour 1 is something, and then hour 2 is something else, right? Not a big twist or anything like that, just like in kind of the vibes they got going on, right? I feel like other than a few characters, I think they just absolutely forgot about, like, completely entirely, and that's okay. They're not characters I really cared about, but and I'll get that question there. BY Mara says, "Do you feel like it was rushed?" And that's where I was gonna say, I feel like most of the people and the relationships got a moment to shine, and I don't think it was. I think maybe when I rewatch it, there might be something, but I think I was happy with everything and the pacing of it. I was worried last week. I was worried it was going to be rushed because someone said, oh, well, they got 2 hours. And I said, like, yeah, but lots of that's going to be action. And lots of it was, but they took a lot of time in between action beats to do that. And I feel like they had action throughout, but it was more like, okay, we're going to build to one big action thing. When we get there, it's action. It's a fucking video game final boss battle. It's like what you want in a final battle, because there's nothing that pisses me off more in a big final boss battle in a movie or a game or a TV show, and it's like a 2-minute scene and then done, So for me, that's where I would push back. I did not feel like it was short. I feel like with that scale and with the budget they probably still have to have, there's massive things going on. To me, it was just right. There's scope, there's everything going on. So I was happy with that, because it also, there is a big fight, but you kind of take some time to get there, right? I feel like I said, all the character moments worked for me for the most part. Maybe as I talk about them, there'll be something that stands out, but for me, there was nothing that, if we get to something that didn't work, I don't think there's anything that massively was like a big negative, like, oh, that really didn't work. No, I think they did justice to the show, the characters. There was many times that, yeah, feeling in the throat, starting to tear up a little bit. They did the right amount enough of showing you stuff of the past and then present day stuff. It's not like Mission Impossible Reckoning where it's like, this just feels like a full recap, because you can get there, right? And you still have to do that for people that have not seen the show in 9 years, right? Because I watched it all leading up to it, but many people haven't, right? So for me, I was satisfied with it all, and that's the best way I would describe it. That the takeoff was clean, the middle part of the trip had a little turbulence, but the landing, we landed the fucking plane, and that's all that matters, right? For the most part, right? Because if there was massive negatives in the other episodes, then I'd say, okay, it's kind of irreparable, right? I never felt like it got to that point. I was underwhelmed those last few episodes, but this to me was practically a home run. If it wasn't a home run, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's going to, like, then it's like, they got to third and then got to home right after, But for me, I would describe it as a home run, and I was satisfied with it, right? And again, it could be, and as we talk, it could be that there's just certain type of things certain type of genres and certain type of ways they tackle them. Like, here's the thing. For me, Endgame, I've always said before, I've said this a lot this week, I love the first hour Endgame where a lot of people don't. Why? Because I love the heroes being depressed and we're going through the shit and it's sad. I'm not saying that's this, but sometimes there is a level of melancholy or solemn or, sad emotions here that are going on, and a kind of a full circle, very retrospective, which of course 9 years has to be. But no, I was happy. And I think there's another thing too, where I think people will dog it, because I see this all the time on other projects. The Return of the King, there's too many endings. For me, I never feel like Return of the King. I could take more endings. Give me another ending with Legolas and Gimli. Give me another ending with Elrond, There's an ad. This ad is ruining my Stranger Things background, my ambience there. But for me, it does have that. But these are characters we've grown and loved with and we've loved for all these years. So I'm down to see all the different endings and all where these characters ended up after the fact, because we've been on this journey. So because to me, there's sometimes where movies or TV shows end and there's so much left. There's too much. Because I see a comment that I will address in spoilers that for me, that stuff and any of that stuff's left open, that's fine. For me, what I care about is the characters and where they are and where their lives are going. But for me, yeah, I'm very happy with what they did here. I think this is definitely now would be my top 10 show ratings. I don't think I put it there this year because like I just didn't see the ending of it, right? But no, I think they did a great job. We'll talk about some specifics here. We're at the 10-minute mark. So this is it. If you've not seen the show, I'm going to get into full spoilers. So this is your last chance. I don't want to hear any bitching and moaning and whining. And then we'll get right into it. So let's take an ad break and we'll be right back. And we are back. Okay, so a few comments. So we're going to be all over. Usually if I got someone else with me, I can kind of throw to it. Not, it's just me, so it's going to be a big stream of consciousness. What I'll probably do is after I address some comments here, I'll probably get the character list and just make sure I hit on everybody and talk about their stories. And even then, the chat can guide me a little bit here. But Champion as Go says, I was satisfied, but there's still many holes to be filled on their other project. Maybe, I guess for me, again, because I don't know if I'm going to watch those spinoffs. What I care about is the character stuff. And to me, none of the holes were with our main characters. We know roughly where they're going, right? Like kind of even like showed like what their jobs are going to be. Like we know where they're going. We know their lives are finally going to be happy. That's all I needed. And again, I can see if some people are mad about this. It depends the type of viewer or watcher you are. From the get-go, I wanted all these fucking kids to survive. And guess what? All these fucking kids survived, and that's what I wanted. You know, sometimes the good guys got to fucking win. We'll talk about the 11 stuff because obviously they leave that kind of ambiguous. To me, it's not really ambiguous, but like you can choose that if you want. And there's some, that's where it's like that, how that was done. It's a big stretch. Like, I guess I could just say it now, right? They do a death fake out, right? And if you've seen the show, you know what you just watched. So I'm not going to break it scene by scene, but they do a death fake out because Kali, her sister, she gets shot and she says, hey, my story is supposed to end here, but yours doesn't, right? And we just assume she's dead. But what they actually do is while they're kind of sneaking out after they beat Vecna and they're getting through the upside down, all the stuff, that she's put some, they call it an invisibility curse. She's making everybody see Eleven go and sacrifice herself. Mike eventually figures out, hey, all those like power detractor things were on. 11 couldn't have done that. They must have did that so 11 could escape. It's to me much like the Dark Knight Rises with the bomb when Batman has a nuke and he's driving the middle ocean. How the fuck does he get out of there? How does he end up in Spain or Venezuela, wherever, with Catwoman and they're banging? We don't really know. It doesn't make, like, it's, no, that doesn't make sense. It's just like, there's a lot that has to go right for 11 to escape and be alive, right? Even that girl when she got shot, what if she died? What if she died mid whatever and then they don't get to do this like fake out cursing or whatnot, right? So there's a lot of stuff, but for me, I'm okay with doing some stretching if it gets me the happy ending, because I was in the situation and I did think they were going to kill her. But I've said this since the beginning. I said, I don't think anyone's really going to die, but I think 11's prime for the taking. I didn't really want that. I've said on this show the same speech that Hopper gave her. To me, this character has a fucking shitty life. And they literally have Hopper say, like, you were born, your mother were taken away, you were abused, you were scared. This listed everything that happened to her. When they did that, though, because last episode they did Kali being like, you gotta sacrifice yourself. And to me, like, okay, I think 11's good. They're telegraphing it too much, right? When they did the reverse telegraph of you deserve to live, I'm like, oh, fuck. But luckily to me, that is a twofer of one, them, like, him telling 11, like, you do deserve these good things. You deserve a life, even though you're handed this shit deal. So it's to wake that character up. But also, like, the show, obviously last week, a lot of people memed on it, but still, Will coming out was a good thing. That is an allegory. That speech to me is an allegory for suicide and not taking your life, right? If like you're like Hopper says, like there's so much darkness, so much bad, but if you can get through that other side, and he kind of does it with Mike too, right? Like there is a chance after the darkness, right? And I think that's a good message to me where I get it's the eat your cake and eat it too, where, okay, she has to kill herself so her friends and family can be safe, but you don't want to also have 11 kill herself, right? Like me personally didn't want, and obviously the friends and Hopper. So this is the double-edged, like perfect sword. I guess not double-edged swords because it's a bad thing. To me, it's like she sacrifices herself to go live a life. She can't be the people she loves right now, but they get to live a life. and then she gets to go actually be out there and her friends are safe. It's the perfect type of ending for me, and that's where someone like Mordegon, I think that's how you say it, said, I think she died, but I like they left it ambiguous. Exactly, because to me, you can think that she died, and I can think she lived, and that's perfect. I think there's some ambiguous endings, especially this year. Some movies have been like way too, like, left way too much open, where it's like, okay, you're not even telling the story now. You're making me tell all the story, and to me, it's been like ones that haven't done that ending type of right? So to me, I like that we went that route with 11. We got the moment with Mike, because to me, it would have been a little weird to do the whole big scene where they cry and love you and then she's just back, right? Like, it would have felt awkward to me. It's like you kind of committed to the death. Anytime if she was going to walk down a D&D or be at the graduation, it's like, okay, this was just a cop-out for us for half an hour, 45 minutes to think she's dead and be sad. Where this, we can still be sad, right? Because she didn't get to be with her friends and be with Hopper. As of right now, there's going to be, no matter what, even if she sees them, lost time. But she gets to be alive and maybe have a different ending and stuff like that, right? So to me, I was very happy with, I can see if people, if they're wanting death, I get that, but I feel like the Duffers try to, if you follow online stuff, they tried to brief you by saying like, hey, we're not Game of Thrones, we're not doing the Red Wedding. And I'm happy about that. I think obviously there can be a balance, right? Like, look at Endgame. Endgame, we lose lots of characters, but then look at Fellowship of the Ring. We lose one, Boromir, like, I think it's always dependent on each story. And even Game of Thrones, I think sometimes those deaths hurt the show actively. Even the final season hurt the show, right? So it's never perfect. And I'm not saying this finale was perfect, this final season was perfect. I'm not sure where I'd rank it. I'll give a number at the end there. But let me go back a little bit here. BBY, you said you felt the fight scene with Vecna was short. I guess I was fine with it because to me, which granted, I think you're right, where the whole fight maybe is shorter, but it's like the cave to the running up to the reveals to the, like, Vecna, in the cave, having his little moments there, having his conversation with Henry. It to me was like, the reason it was the fight was short, but why I don't think it was short is because Vecna's also in like the mental fighting sphere, right? So to me, there was like the physical fighting and the mental fight. It felt like a worthy boss battle to me. I do love that. It's just so funny. When I'd say season 1, season 2, it departed, right? Got more sci-fi. But the first 2 seasons, obviously lots of Spielberg isms were in there, right? Like E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, just that Amblin feel of the 80s, right? But then the other thing people talked about, because now I feel like it transitioned into sci-fi and Alien, they got into Nightmare on Elm Street, but a lot of people talk about, hey, this feels a lot like It, and Stephen King, primarily, right? But It. So it was so fucking funny, because I remember in our Discord, join Discord down below, and also, to get the plug away, if you like what we do here in the new year, we're doing over 30 exclusive episodes for the Patreon. You can go down there. There are 4 separate tiers. You can see which episodes you like. If you go to our producer tier, you can recommend us to review a movie, but you get everything we do, ad-free episodes, exclusive episodes. You get our entire backlog. Obviously, it's myself, but it's the 3 other boys that run this network, and you help us finance the extra movie or the extra content, the movies we produce. If you like what we do, we'd very appreciate it. Of course, just to subscribe on video or audio. But if you really like what we do, what I'm doing here, we'd appreciate going to Patreon, because that's the way to support us. It goes directly to us, and we can have the time to make more content, make more shows, get better gear, get better equipment, all that stuff. Pay for like StreamYard. You guys pay for this, like us being upheld, like we very much appreciate. So if you like what we do here, subscribe, give us a chance. And then if you like more, go to Patreon, because that's the best way to listen. And then the Discord, right? We were talking the Discord. I think S-Bub shared this, where the finale, like lots of people are getting screenshots and look like a dragon of some sort, right? So there was this theory of, Vecna's going to turn into something bigger. So I got to take down this banner here, my thing. Well, actually, I'll keep that up, because I'm planning just to keep this about an hour, because I got New Year's stuff to do, and I'll probably tell us more of the guys. So there you go. Like I said, I'll try and get to all the comments, but near the end, if I'm not, if you really want something read, send a super chat, because obviously it's a busy stream. And thank you to everybody tuning in right now. There's a lot of you in the room. When Vecna is everything, they're coming out of the ground, all the stuff's going on, and also we had seen the whole thing looking spider-like, but when he turned into an actual fucking spider, and all the It comparisons, and especially because for decades it's always been like, oh, it was great until the ending, and he turns into a fucking spider, right? Like, why is Pennywise a spider? Like, even Stephen King in the It movie would be like, why'd you make it a spider? Like, he said something where the ending sucked or whatnot, right? Like, it's funny that it did turn that. To me, this was the better version of it, because I think what they did, And that's what It Chapter 2 did. They were smart of, hey, you got a big bad spider, but then you also got Vecna, the character, in the middle as the vessel, right? That's super smart. And also, you got to have every fucking buddy fight. You got to have Joyce in there with the axe. You got to have them on the end, like taking the health points out. You had to have Nancy in her full on badass mode of shooting with the fucking with grenades and the machine gun. Like all this stuff, to me, it was great because there's many times where it's just like, they even say like, oh, things were easier. Like in season 4, like it was easier when we had 11, or she could always solve these problems. Of course, she's kind of like the team captain, right? The quarterback, but it is the whole crew together. And that's what I loved about the final fight is, like I said, even Joyce, which I was a fan of. Like when they went to Winona Ryder, I'm like, oh my God, she's going to get the killing blow on Vecna. But when they were smartly showed the flashback, it's like from like obviously the Henry stuff, but from our crew, her and Will were really the first two infected, right? Or like impacted. He got kidnapped and abducted, and she became a mother in that first season. She's a very distraught, broken down character, right? They have been through it the longest. They've been through it the most. They've been through the shit. And I could be wrong, but I don't think Joyce had ever gone the upside down. So for her to be there and her final thing of you fucked with the wrong family, and then it's like, 10 out of 10. No notes. To me, that was perfect. Like, who you get, because Will, to me, and that's where they all got a moment to get on Vecna. But I feel like the top three with 11, Will, and Joyce, people that were really messed with, they got moments to get back at Vecna. And I love that. Also, I love that they introduced that. Again, they said they were going to explain some stuff to the Upside Down. I think they over-explained, but that's fine. It ended up being okay. And they explained that, oh, Henry found this thing in the briefcase, and it was a vessel. And they tried to do this whole, oh, you are a vessel just like Will was a vessel. Henry, it wasn't you. You're not the problem. And as this was happening, I was like, fuck. I don't want this. I don't want Vecna to do a babyface turn. I don't want to be like, I was misunderstood, and thank you, Will, and now I can rest easy. I like that. It's like, nope, this thing needed me. I needed it. Pretty much, I'm a shit person, but I'm happy shit person, and let's fucking do this. And then boom, whether that is over time he decided to do that, whether what he's saying is true, whether he's just scared because he was crying, like whether he's just scared that he'd lose and chose this, whatever it is, I like that he did not do a babyface turn. And I didn't need like the whole crew with Vecna on the side being like, what do we do 11? Like I was really worried because I love the trope of villains and heroes working together. Here I did not need it. This guy's done so much. Here I did not need it, and not redeemable enough for me to get those things, right? So let me take a drink of water here. So I love that. And I think his name is what? Jamie Campbell Bow or something like that. I said before, I liked him in season 4. He's been good this season. Shout out to him when they got to get into the cave. Fucking, he's acting his ass off here. When he's reacting to seeing his old self kill a guy and like the tear goes down his cheek and he feels it, like that's not like, I know people sometimes not discount acting, but just like, oh yeah, he's just crying or he's just upset. To me, that idea of, okay, you're reacting to something that's happening in front of you, but then also a memory, and then it's also you're reenacting at the same time. There's lots of stuff where many other actors, because I don't think everyone in the show is great, many other actors could make that scene cheesy or not play. And that's where it works, where Vecna is this terrible person, Henry's this terrible person, but in this moment, you do feel for him slightly, right? And then he makes that turn of, no, I'm going to still just fuck you guys up and we're doing this, right? But to me, his acting that scene, fantastic. I really hope, because I feel like he has a different look and a different vibe. I really hope that he gets more work after this outside, wherever. I think season 4 showed he was a good actor, and there's a couple scenes that are great, but this, I think he had a lot of versatility throughout, but this finale, he got to really shine, and you do want that in a villain. You want a villain to shine both menacingly and acting-wise, because then when you take him down, it's that much better. So shout out to him. I thought that those cave scenes were really good, and just acted outstandingly. So let's see a couple things here. Morgan Dunn said, I liked it, but my expectations were extremely low after disappointing previous episodes this season. Yeah, so I actually don't. So I think how I was, my expectations weren't lowered. I just got more worried. I still was expecting greatness from them, but I thought, these show that we could be like, you can draw blood. If it bleeds, you can kill it, right? Even in season 2, which I think is the lowest, I never, anytime in these shows, I think ever thought, oh, this could be a failed season or a failed episode. Like, I wouldn't fail last week's episode. I know people might fail it, but I wouldn't. Like, I know it's like a 4 point whatever. I'm going to be like, no, to me, there was some clunkiness, some writing issues, but I would not go that far. Just like maybe could have been tightened up a little bit better, right? But and that's fair. That happened for you. So let's see. The only one I think should have died is Max in season 4. It would have had much bigger impact, and frankly, the role this season had been filled by another character like Will, in my opinion. Yeah, I guess, but at the same time, that's where it's the flip, right? Where I'm happy Lucas is happy, and I like their ending where they kind of say like, yeah, you guys are gonna be happy and settle down and be in love like you love kids. Like, you said the only one you think Keith Max was a mistake. I don't like, and that's fine to have that opinion. I was happy with them to be getting the ending. Oh, and that's what I was gonna say because I was talking about the non spoilers in that moment when Vecna's Pierce and Joyce Scott's the act, she's going. That actually teared me up because I was getting choked up because there's characters like I never cared about Barb the same way people did, but when it's like with each hit, it's showing the people that have died. That's where I'm like, you could have terrible and bad things happen to our characters without having to kill them, right? Of course, death happens in life, but especially with some of these characters, I'm not saying, oh, fuck you, Bob. Yeah, it sucks he died, right? But that's what makes the journey better. And that's why when these characters survive, it showed other people around you can die. We're lucky we made it out. And when Choose hit dead character, it was, to me, I'm getting chills right now. I was like, yeah. And that was, when that was happening, I was like, yeah, fuck, go good guys. Like that's the vibe that I want. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, bad guy should win, and I'm always fine with a downer ending. Go fucking watch our first film we made here at Geek First. Like I'm fine with a downer ending, but for me, with these characters, how long we needed them, and also with them being kids and teenagers, start their lives, is like I for the most part wanted them to succeed, right? So let's see, he'd be a great Joker. Yeah, sure, he would. I don't know if they'd ever go that route. Well, you know what? The guy that cast for Brainiac's not the biggest actor, right? So maybe this guy has some cachet. He would. He has a great look, and he has like very tall slenderness stuff. I don't think they've really done that yet because Jack was like not a skinny guy, right? Heath had a lot of jackets. Heath probably would have been the closest, to be honest, but I feel like because of his attire, Heath Ledger looked bigger, and then Jared Leto got like ripped like an MMA fighter, which I didn't need. And I think Joaquin Phoenix didn't have like the full on height, but it would be great to get like a full, super tall, skinny Joker like in the comics, right? But yeah, so we get there, and I guess I'm kind of talking about the ending here. They do that, and this is where it was fine, but as I've told before, I don't need the military here. And now I know why the military was in this season. And you know what? It's okay. Was I a little tired of military and scientist villains? Yeah, I was. But they want to do this ending with 11 where, okay, we want to make a sacrifice, but not the sacrifice. And that's where watching this in totality, at the time, I was like, do I need the military to be the villains again? Even the finale, when they go to like them watching the binoculars, I'm like, oh, these fuckers, like they're just here to provide a side quest to get us some more action and fight, and don't get me wrong, not bad scenes. Characters got some like whatever, I think his name's Murray, right? Like he got through the grenade and the chopper, that was cool and all, and they hurt them. So I get that's why they were there, is they wanted Vecna to die to 11 and all the kids, right? They didn't want a situation where Vecna gets the upper hand and takes 11, then the kids do it. So in that aspect, I would retroactively go, you know what, still my favorite, but, and Lily Hamilton, at least is great, fun to watch her be this villain or dark mage as they called her. But for me now, it made sense of, okay, if we got the military in here to get to this sacrifice instead of death, I'll buy it. I'll take it. It's fine. It is what it is. And even like Kali dying, like that's what's like, yeah, that's a character that can go, a character that was like one episode, one season, and a couple here, So those are kind of the deaths I want. And before I forget, it was strange. They showed I can't remember if they had broken up, but like Dustin's old girlfriend, she never came back, which was a surprise. Even like Robin's girlfriend never, like she just disappeared. And I'm forgetting it now, but there's another character that just disappeared in the finale. Very odd. That's where you gotta kind of go, you know what, that nurse character couldn't have been in there, and you could have just made it Lucas' sister that was wheeling Max around, right? Kind of odd. But the ending's there. They do the sacrifice, army thing, blah, blah, blah. Somehow, none of them are in prison, but that's okay, right? That always happens in Stranger Things. They jump 18 months later to their graduation, which this is all good stuff, right? We get to the older gang of people that they're hanging out, which this is like I don't know how old people are, but this is a scene that even us at Geek First here, when we did the GV10 day or Extra Life, I took for granted the times that we used to podcast all together in the same room, and then, Dylan moved, and nowadays with how much we do, we couldn't be together, right? But now when we do those long streams, or when we try to do once a month in together, it is like when they say like, hey, once a month, because they established that Nancy went to New York, but she left school, which is like she wants to be, out there doing her own thing. Oh God, what's Jonathan's just making weird films, being an indie kid, cool. Robin's didn't really say what Robin's up to. She came back to DJ once, so they didn't say what she's really up to. She's just somewhere else. Like, okay, that's fine. But she was like a good emotional core in this episode. And then Steve's just doing like the soon to be dad thing. He's trying to find his wife. He's coaching the baseball team with fucking Derek. Like, good stuff. They even jumped to a point where like he's picking up Dustin from college and they're hanging out. Yeah, all happy with that. And that scene hit for me too when it's just like, you know, you get new friends, but it never hits the same way as when we're together. And they like, hey, once a month, which is funny because we said like once a month we want to try and podcast in person when, you know, when Dylan's in town or just the three of us. Like we want to try and do that. And that scene struck with me because there is those friends groups that no matter what, whenever you see them, it's like it was exactly how it was. And you do miss those times. Those times go by fast. So anybody, if you're in school, college, or you have roommates, there might be a time where you're trying to think about your future life and that's the thing. I'm on a different adventure. Like they talked about here, like I'm on a different adventure now where I got the wife, the kids. That's great. But there's definitely the times where I go, man, not that I miss and regret, like, oh, I want to go back. It's just, man, in those moments, I should appreciate us all going together. I should appreciate every day after working on Friday that we'd meet up and podcast and be laughing and everything. The times were great. And I don't like, it's not like, I'm so solemn about it. It's like, no, it's just like, appreciate the times when you have them. And I like that even, and Dustin's speech too, of like the bad chaos and good chaos, even through all these awful times, there was good that happened. And I'm friends with people that I should have never been friends with, right? I've told the story many times. I worked at Target and they used to laugh because I was the guy that would do my shift, and on my lunch breaks, I would go to and from with my earbuds in. I had enough friends, didn't want any more friends, and now these three are three of my best friends, right? And that's where it was, where it's like we all have that. So all that emotional stuff, the speeches, all worked for me. All good stuff. The stuff with Hopper about picking again, I thought it was kind of almost on a suicide or depression route where it's like there's two roads. The road to happiness, it's going to be dark and you're going to lament on it sometimes, and there's going to be hard times, but you got to fight and try and get there and do whatever you can. You can accept that dark stuff, but don't let it define you, right? I'm definitely paraphrasing. That's not the speech, but I think it was good to bring them too, right? Or bring it back to those two because they're the closest with 11, as far as Will being the love interest and boyfriend, and then Hopper being her dad. So I thought that was good. Dustin doing his big speech, which was like, sometimes it's like they do the principal like me mugging really mad. I thought that's a little cheesy and over the top, but you know what? Stranger Things kind of does that multiple times, right? They lean on that 80s stuff, so maybe a little too much, but you know what? It's fine. These characters having a good time. I love the moment when he's like, oh, I play this game called Dungeons and Dragons, and the whole crowd cheers, and they go hop like, oh, Jesus Christ, like, which they stick with. And again, I don't play Dungeons and Dragons, but shout out to like the very final battle of Vecnev, and they're like, oh, we could take off, can't remember, there's like some health points they say, and it's for D&D, and I think they also use in video games, right? So it's like to the very beginning to the end, they're making D&D references, so that's great. But yeah, Dustin pretty much just makes like he's very happy to be a student. He's had a great time. He's a big learner. He makes his friend speech, but then he still has that Eddie, and I'm like, you know what? And fuck the system too, because they set us up for failure sometimes. That's not the way it's gonna be. And he throws a middle finger, and he has the Hellfire Live shirt. There's confetti. When he gets down, and they have this really beautiful looking girl walk up, like, hey, like, great speech. And he's like, I want to go full Belushi, you know, animals. And she like, what? And she like walks away, and they're all like, you fucking blew it, man. And then she comes back and still invites him to the party. That's great stuff too. And good little moment where Mike realizes about the Sonics. Like, I like that. I almost wish they didn't do the flashback. I wish he just like heard the speakers and then showed those like mutant whatever power depower speakers and then leave it there. But it felt like it kind of to me revealed like, okay, she's alive, right? And it's probably because like I didn't know the whole vision thing, but it's okay, she couldn't use her powers, so it had to be something else. I think they could have pulled back on that, so we'll see. But overall, that was good. Joyce and Hopper, great scene of them getting at the graduation before getting ready. Jonathan's taking the video, his lighting's getting fucked up, and he's like, it's not Hopper's like, it's not The Godfather. You get one more take. Like, he's back to being a grumpy old sheriff, but he's at least happy and he's accept everything. Him and Joyce finally, I'm assuming, finally go to that restaurant that they meant to go to in like season 3. Maybe they've been there before, but still they're going here. It's a big night. He proposes. She said yes. They're thinking about like moving and going, and let's see. Kyler King says, mostly love the finale. Wish we saw it happen to Vicky and more of the Demogorgons. Who am I forgetting is Vicky? There's so many characters. Stranger Things. Is that Robin's girlfriend? Let's see. Stranger Things. That is. Yeah, okay. I mentioned that already. It was very odd. It was super odd that she was just not around for someone that's been in 2 seasons now. At that point, as someone that wants their character to survive, maybe you could have just killed her off as like a like if she's not gonna be driving away with Robin at the end. Like it was odd that she took up so much screen time again. That's like, oh well, that's where I could say, yeah, too many characters, right? But yeah, Joyce and Hopper getting engaged, maybe moving. That's great. That's a good ending. And really great scene too, as far as they establish Mike is going to be. They show Will at a bar. I thought they were going to have him kiss the guy. I kind of wish they did, but they're at a bar and a guy greets him. You kind of think that maybe it's someone could be a boyfriend or something like that, right? And then they do this last scene where it's one last D&D session all together. And man, oh boy. Sorry, I took a little water there. I felt like you could, in my theater, because I talked about this with Emily, and then there's other people I talked about it with. There was obviously a theory going around, right, as far as what if the ending of this show is all just, it was one big D&D campaign. And I said, Emily, if that happens, I will give this season a 0 out of 10. I don't know about the whole show, but I'll give this a season 0 out of 10. I don't want that. I'm not always opposed to it was a dream ending or a, very crazy out there ending, a big twist. But with this and how long it's been, that would have been such a slap in the face. So when they went to that table and Mike is telling the story, and it sounds very similar to what they're going through, you could feel a few people shifting their chair, including myself, being like, oh, fuck, God. Like, don't make this like just this whole time these people were friends telling the story, right? Like that, there was a worry, but no, that's when Mike says what he sees in the future and tells him his theory about Eleven. Again, it's a theory. I like to think she's alive. And a great moment where they all put their book in, they're sad. His mom calls him up, who his mom and his dad survived. So those are characters that I even said could have died a couple episodes ago. So even myself, who's like, go good guys survive, I was even like, yeah, you can kill Mike's parents. That's fine. So I imagine the crowd that really wanted people to die, like, fucking even the parents made it. Are you kidding me? But, I was happy. They gave her some big scars. She said, oh, your lasagna is cold. And they go one by one. They slide their books in, Will, Mike, Lucas, Dustin. And then when Mike's walking up, his sister like shoulder checks him and all her friends follow him, like, oh, you took so long. And they sit down there and play D&D. They show that her and Derek are friends. I don't know if they're like a couple. She just kind of like leaned her head on him. So that's kind of more of like a loving gesture, but that's great. Where I don't think this show needs a spinoff. I know they're doing it. I don't need a spinoff with these other characters. Because I know there's people even when we're leaving the theater like, oh, is there an end credits? Like, no, the same way it's like, we'll see what happens with fucking Doomsday and Secret Wars. But when Endgame ended with no end credits, like, yeah, sometimes the ending is the ending. There doesn't need to be more. And obviously it's a whole different situation because there's a universe and more. But at that time, it's like, yeah, right there, stop it. Same thing. The comic book covers everything. That'd be the ending. Cool. Stop it right there. We don't need any more. And to me, it's just like, I don't need to think that these characters are going to go off and fight more Demogorgons or a new threat. No, it's just that they're carrying on the Hawkins tradition, Mike and his friends tradition. Like, it's another, passing of the torch type of moment, right? So for me, I really liked that ending. I liked how symbolic it was. So yeah, I liked that. I liked all the endings with everybody, obviously, and I really like Steven. Jonathan's got a come to Jesus moment there, talking like, yeah, my problems, I thought they were you, but I was just using you as like a allegory of that. And Jonathan being like, you know what, I kind of know I kind of know I didn't really have a shot with her. And then he's like, and she also doesn't want them, and that popped the theater big. Was the whole don't say nuggets when also too when Steve fell and it cut to black and then Jonathan caught him, theater fucking erupted. Not like Captain America catch a Mjolnir sort of thing or the three Spider-Men together, but like a couple octaves below and I was like, oh, good moment. But I was like, oh, people are, maybe it was just Steve being saved. I don't know if it's Jonathan saving Steve. I don't know if there's a ship between those two, but it was a big moment. The crowd was rocking. So, yeah, it was, and the start was good. That was also a lot more the action, a lot more the laying down okay, is 11 gonna sacrifice herself if she's not? Pros and cons. I'm trying to think if there's anything big else. Because I'm getting near the end. If there's any big moments I haven't talked about or you want me to touch upon, throw them out now. Really like Vecna fucking with Hopper, because that got me too. when he goes there and he's shown him the vision, which is great because he's using the things that's in Eleven's mind. Because that was a good sequence too, where they go in there and they meet Max in like whatever the dark place is. They're going through all the memories. There's that time clock. If we got 30 seconds, the world's gonna crash on us. Max like, just wait, I promise he's gonna show up. All of it goes well, and then what happens is, to prove, because these kids think Henry's a good guy, right? To prove he's not, let's show him attack 11, show him become the monster. They run away. 11 gets exposed so he can look at her memories and shows Hopper all this stuff, right? That she's planned to sacrifice herself, all this stuff, which also led to a very great speech later on, where it's just like, I understand like what you're saying here, and obviously this was now she didn't actually kill herself, but she's just saying like, if I have to do that, it's my choice. Like, you can't keep comparing me to Sarah, even though you're my dad in a sense. Sarah didn't have a choice. I have a choice, and you have to respect that. And I like from that point on, Hopper was like, okay, I don't want her to die. I wish that's not the outcome, but if she feels that's the best, then I have to respect that, because she says, I'm not a kid anymore, right? And that's why when everybody, I know they're still just graduating, but when everybody complains, oh, they look so much older. Yes. Do they look older than kids graduating? Sure. But for me, as a 90s kid, we grew up with fucking 30 to 40-year-olds playing teenagers. This is light years better than that, right? As far as the ages. And to me, it's like Harry Potter when people would say, it's like, that's where you feel when she says, I'm not a kid. You can believe that, because obviously in real life she's married and got a kid, but like in this show, she's grown up, right? So those together worked really well, and that kind of back and forth as far as, you know, earlier and later on. Let me see if there's anything else there. You know, Murray got some stuff that's fine. Like, he was funny, you know, as usual. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything more, because I know I'll talk about again in the future, probably the geeks and like what you've been watching or anything, but I'm trying to think of anything spoiled. I'll go to chat for a little bit here. Kyler King says, I choose to believe that 11 reunites with her friends and family one day. Me too. I think it's just like, you let it blow down and then you make content. I'm kind of in that ending with you too. I like how the ending basically lets you use your imagination in the future where these characters go. The show's all about imagination. Kids, let kids be kids again. Yeah, I agree. I was all, to me, it was the right and enough of being ambiguous, right? Give you enough to fill, like, it's a coloring book with no color. You can fill it in, but you don't know what those colors are going to be. But for me, the fact that they're mostly going to be happy going forward and get to live lives, good. Because after everything they've fucking been through, they should get that. They're just fucking kids, right? So, yeah, I'm trying to think, but, and I'll say too, Vecna and the big spider, CGI wise, this is where it's like on the big screen, need to see it, look fantastic. When they're chaser, look fantastic. 11 jumping there, look fantastic. The textures, some locations, not as good. But I am fine with, like, if they're like, hey, we got a certain budget, we got a time limit, we can make the backgrounds look good or the big fucking monster spider look good. What are we gonna pick? We're picking that, right? Or it's stuff like when Nancy's running behind her spider, it looks a little iffy, right? That stuff, but the actual design and look of it, not saying it looked like Gollum realistic, but at times it looked, to me, really, like, it looked like there was times where it was seamless, like, okay, it looks like it's actually there, which you want, right? Which we've seen tons of CGI nowadays where that never happens, or it stands out, right? Moon Knight, Log Truck, etc. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I thought there was something in the memory spot I was gonna say. I talked about the cave. You know, Holly, any of their friends, all that cave stuff with the kids was good. Yeah. Oh, right. That's what I meant to say is when they showed when Vecna appears to Hopper and Hopper shoots Vecna and it goes through the tank and hits 11. I did think she was shot. I didn't think she was dying there because I thought, okay, let's save her, but I thought she was shot. I was questioning how many bullet holes. I'm like, how's she going to survive this? But I thought, well, this show, you never know, right? But that did get me. I thought for sure she was shot. So then when he broke the tank and she comes out and she's fine, look down, it's like, oh Christ, you know, like such a heart sinking moment of he got us, he fucking got us. And that's where good, again, like good, smart villain, right? So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything more, but I don't think so. So for me, what would I rank this? I feel for now where I'm going to go, I will rewatch the season again one day, and I'll rewatch the show again one day. I'm excited to with my kids because Gwen one time saw one season when she was younger, and now she always wants to watch, but we're like, yeah, you saw a couple of stuff you weren't supposed to, you know, like you were in the room, and now she's interested because she likes that type of horror stuff. So I will watch again. But for me, I think this season is a 9. And this is where, to me, my rankings and critiques and all that stuff, if I've always said that there's 2 scores, right? But the score I would give it on a Letterboxd or reviews is my enjoyment of it, right? if you take all my averages, I would say season 1 and season 4 are a 10 out of 10. I think season 2 is maybe like an 8.59 after thing there. And then season 3 is a 9.5. And then this is like probably a 9, right? Because I do think this had maybe some of the lowest lows that the show has done, sometimes from a writing point of view. And I could argue you could have had it going a little bit longer. That's one thing too. I meant to say last week when myself and a lot of people are like, hey, Will does this big speech and him and Will or Mike doing it a fucking moment. Like they're best friends. It's about him falling in love. Like that's odd because you thought them hugging, like, let's go to battle. That was it. But no, when they're climbing the radio tower and they get that moment to actually talk and that's so good of like, he says like, oh, I didn't want to like, he's like, oh, that came out wrong. He's like, no, I didn't mean like come out wrong. Like that was fun, innocent humor. And it did go like Will started talking about here comes a big speech and it really wasn't. It was right to the point and satisfying. All that type of banter going up the radio tower and walking for the most part worked. I thought there could have been a little more urgency to get to Vecna in like the abyss, but that's okay, right? We are spending time with these characters. We love them. So we want to, we want to experience them a little bit longer, but like no one, like they're not even doing a fast walk. Like at one point when Robin has to be like, hey, Lovebird, she's talking to Steve and Jonathan, she's like, get over here. It's like, yeah, fuck man. Like guys, like lock in now, but I get it. They're facing death. But that's where that episode last week it works a little better now, right? Will Come Out For Me works a little bit better. So I'll have to see how it sits. And there's going to be other points that people will bring up where even like myself with that Will speech when people brought up like, hey, people don't overtly know or even 100% know that Robin's gay. And I said that as like, well, there's another gay character in the group. Why is it such a big idea? That's what's like, or a big deal. I'm like, okay, that does help me like that speech more, right? Even if I think the timing's a little off and I don't know if it's the best written, it works. So for me, that's the thing where I have to watch the season again, but that's where, so right now I'd give this a 9. And my final score for the show wouldn't make sense because my score is a 10. That doesn't make sense when I have a 10, an 8.5, a 9.5, a 10, and a 9, right? On average, I'm not sure what that is. Someone could average out, but I'm still going that sure, there were some seasons that weren't a knockout. There was definitely in this season, as I said before, it's good we were ending. There was some repetition going on, but my enjoyment level as far as like the highs of this season were very, very high. That's why I'd still put it above 2. Had some big highs, and especially it's the finale. To me, the finale is overall just very satisfying. 2 hours of fuck yeah, I'm loving majority of this, and they did a great job, right? And I think over time this will even feel better because it just sits with you, and even the stuff you dislike a little bit, you go, but this happened and this happened. As long as they don't do like a fall, right? But which they could one day. I could see in 20, 15 years of doing like a Stranger Things, even just like movie, right? To get 11 back with the crew and some stuff happens. But yeah, for me, that's where I'd put the show as a 10. I would put it in a top 10. Loved it since the beginning. Multiple great seasons, great performances. Obviously, some of them are kid actors, so some of them are better than others, but that's okay when they're kids. And so for me, I was very happy with the ending. I think, as I said before, we had a little turbulence, but that's all that matters if you can land the fucking plane, right? I've said that with, with Doomsday coming up. For people that don't listen to my newscast, but talking about Avengers and the people that bring them back, it's on the storylines, and I go, right now, for me, I'm in the turbulence. I'm not excited by a lot of things they're doing, but if you can get in that theater and land the plane, you can at least make me happy and be, okay, it was messy, and I don't love everything. I didn't love the crackers on this flight. The toilet flushed really loud, woke people up, and woke a baby up, cried, but we landed, and overall it was a smooth ride, and we're safe, and we're on to our next trip. I think that's where I am, so, and that's where, Kyler King says, I don't think there was a bad season of the show. Some were better than others, but they delivered. And that's where I am. That is the title of this. Strange, because the landing the airplane, that's a Travis thing. I'm going to start this the same way Travis Told You became a show. That's a saying for me, so I didn't want to put it in the title, but my whole thing is Stranger Things series finale. Spoilers review, did it deliver? Yes, it did. Thank you very much to everyone that was in this massive audience watch. So thank you very much. Thank you to everyone that listened. I don't know where it's going to be, but already that Stranger Things episode from last week is in our top 14 right now. And it's only been out for like less than a week. And I appreciate that very much, especially when it's just a solo cast of myself doing this. So, let me know. There is a Stranger Things channel. What was I going to say? In our Discord. I might do like when Travis Told You returns next week or whenever, I might do like a redux, like if we get box office news, anything about that, and if it's some things that point out, some theories, what the creators think, and even what you guys think. join our Discord. There's a whole like Geek First channel, but then there's multiple other channels. Join Stranger Things, and there's something you disagree with, agree with, something you want to send as a question, something you want to push back on, or just share more opinion on, please join there. It's a fun community. I just thanked everyone in there today for a great year because I had the most fun on the internet there. Shout out to Dylan for creating that. We got no assholes. We're inclusive. We don't care what color you are, who you're fucking, what you're doing, if you love video games, if you hate video games, you love movies, you love books, you hate movies, you hate books, like whatever your geek kink is per se, we're not there to judge. I fucking hate Pokemon. I don't get how anybody likes it. We got a Pokemon channel for you there, right? And it's all fun and games, and I recommend joining there and conversating because it's a great time. It's tons of fun. And yeah, I'm excited to see what everyone else thinks. And yeah, I'll probably do like a Redux after and maybe follow up and see. But for me, I was very happy with what you guys did for as far as listening to the show, and I was very happy with this. And yeah, I had a fucking great time at the cinema. This was tons of fun. I got to see with Emily. We had a fun time. It was great to be in a respectful, full crowd. That's what the movies are about, and that's what, luckily, the Stranger Things finale was about. Thank you very much, everybody. If you're listening to this live, have a happy New Year's Eve, and if you're listening to this day, happy 2026. Let's have a great year, and I promise you,